All right, so in this training, what we're going to do, this is the most important step, which is step one, finding buyers or how to find buyers with money. So we're going to go through this document. It's at 150% to make it bigger so that you can see it. And you have access to this, the shared version of it. So it's super important you pay attention. This is the foundation of everything, okay? What happens with most coaches is they attract people who are not only financially unqualified, but just shouldn't be there, should not be booking calls with them, should not even do anything. I don't even know why they would click your ad, right? So what we want to do is really go into this and go deep. So what I want you to do is, first of all, here's the problem with Facebook ads and your niche. So I'm going to go step by step through every one of these, okay? Now, and I'm going to read them and comment on them and explain it and go from there. So Facebook ads uses your ad copy and data points from your ads action to find your ideal client. So what happens is, and I'll just add in number 2 to this. So they used to find your ideal client with targeting options. Still do to some degree. So let's unpack number 1 and 2. In the old days, 4 or 5 years ago, what you would do is you'd find all these little interest groups of people. So for example, if you're in the weight loss market, you would find interest groups in Facebook ads of authors of weight loss books and gurus and names of weight loss books and all this kind of stuff like that. And you would target those things as interest groups so that you would tell Facebook to go find people who are following those authors and gurus and all kinds of stuff, right? Weight loss shakes and so on and so forth. And then Facebook would run your ads pretty much exclusively to those people, okay? Well, the problem is they still do that to some degree, but it used to be 90-10, where it's basically, if you're really good at targeting, that was like 90% of the battle. Now, I believe it's the opposite, okay? It's 90% this and 10% targeting. In fact, with a lot of our clients, literally maybe 1 in 20, once we help them set up their audience, do they ever have to change their audience, okay? And that's like the first try. And so it's almost exclusively become Facebook ads uses your copy. Now, what does that mean? So what they're going to do is they're going to see your ad. They're going to use their AI to figure out what it says. They're going to try and match it up, all that kind of stuff. And then as people click on it and register for whatever it is, ideally your webinar or whatever, they're going to use those data points to find more of the people who look like the people who are registering, okay? And so that's why it's super duper important that you find qualified people with your ad, because it literally dictates everything, okay? Because like in some cases, you don't even need targeting. Like we, in a lot of our ads, don't use any targeting, just open targeting. People, you pick your age, you launch the ad, pick age and country, okay? So number 3, but you have to thread a needle of being super focused, yet not too focused that you get a low click-through rate and on your ad and push your ad costs too far up. So here's what this means. What this means is this. You want a decent click-through rate, and we'll talk about all the KPIs in the ad section, but you really want to make sure that you have a good percentage of people clicking on your ad, because if it gets too low and it drops down too far, Facebook charges you to a lot more per click, and so it doesn't make sense. So you want to have a decent click-through rate, okay? And once you have a decent click-through rate and your cost per click will be good, so you're kind of threading that needle of making sure that people are qualified and that the click-through rate stays good, and so that the cost per click is good, because there's a direct correlation between higher percentage of clicks drops your cost per click, okay? Now, the next thing is you need to attract qualified people to season your pixel so Facebook goes and finds more of those people. It's similar up here, I said, data points. So if you start getting, unqualified people registering for your stuff, what Facebook's going to do is just go find more of those people. So they're going to go out and they're going to find more of those people, and now you're just going to get all kinds of unqualified people, and it's going to lock in on your audience. And so what's going to happen is, it doesn't matter if you change your ad, anything like that, as long as that ad's running in that ad campaign, it's just going to go after those people, because that's what the pixel is thinking it's supposed to do, okay? Now, you can only sell to people who have money, but Facebook wants to send you people who click on your ad, which is a conflicting agenda. Remember, what is one of the most important metrics Facebook has? It is how relevant the ad is, okay? Now, why is that so important? Because if people think the ad's relevant, they just keep coming back to Facebook. And as you can see, over time, Instagram and Facebook have gotten really good at making the ads look like content and just kind of seemingly come into the newsfeed. And why is that a big deal? Because if people start thinking ads are irrelevant and they don't like what they're seeing, they'll leave Facebook and they go to TikTok or wherever, right? So we need to make sure that the ads are super relevant. But the problem is this: you want to get people to click on your ad who are qualified. Facebook just wants to show your ad to people who they think will click on your ad. So do you see what I mean there? You want qualified people. Facebook wants to send your ad to anybody in your market. So we're kind of we have a little bit of a different agenda. Not that we're doing anything wrong. It's just that we have two different goals. Facebook just wants to show your ad to everybody and they pick who they see. We want to make sure it goes to the right people. So these are the issues that we have, and this is the problems that you have. Now, obviously they are overcomable, but we just have to be thinking about this as you get into this to make sure that you have the right strategy. Okay, now let's talk about the next section here. Why knowing let's go up here, put it up here. Your niche is not enough anymore. Okay, so that's great. You know you have a niche. You help people lose weight. Awesome. Why knowing that is not enough? So here's the problem. What you got to realize, just because there's a lot of coaching programs out there that teach people how to find their niche. You know what I mean? How to be a health coach, how to be a mindset coach, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of irrelevant anymore these days, because there's so many thousands of people in the same niche that it just doesn't matter. Like, nobody cares what you call yourself, and nobody cares if you market yourself or in your market that you say you're a coach. They've seen it all before. They've seen every weight loss coach out there, so they don't really care. And honestly, nobody's looking for a coach. You think about that for a second. Nobody woke up this morning who's in your ideal market and said, I need a weight loss coach. That's what I need. I need to go on Facebook and scroll until I find an ad that says weight loss coach, and click through there and then give that person thousands of dollars to help me out with my weight loss or mindset or whatever, right? There's just nobody looking for it, okay? Also, the other thing is no one cares about your fulfillment process, how your program works. They just don't. You got to understand that people don't care if you have a lot of videos and you do tons of one-on-one calls and you do email support and you have a Slack messaging thing that you give them access to and you mail them stuff and you're going to help them with, fixing using all kinds of curriculum, and you've licensed it from a certain place. People don't care, especially if they're just on Facebook. They just want the problem fixed. They don't care how it is. Like, because coaches will always say, like, oh my gosh, I need to make my program a year versus 3 months, and I need to add in multiple one-on-ones, and I need to give them my phone number. They'll just keep adding in more fulfillment, but people just don't care, right? Obviously, you got to have something of value, but you got to understand that nobody cares, okay? They care about fixing the problem, and so this is why knowing your niche is just not enough anymore. So that's great. You're a health coach. You're a mindset coach, all that kind of stuff. That's just the basis for all of this. And so that's what I kind of want to help you understand is nobody's looking for that, and it doesn't matter, all right? Now, here's the problem with your ideal client when it comes to your messaging. First thing is trust is an all-time low. So back in 2019 or so, these funnels and online stuff used to create trust, okay? Where you could create a ClickFunnels funnel and people would just be enamored by it. They'd be like, wow, this is so cool. I can give them my email address. They send me to a webinar. Oh, this is me. They're going to give me a free ebook. I mean, wow, that's amazing. I totally want to work with this person, and they're a certified coach. That is amazing. You see what I mean? You're probably even laughing because, yeah, I mean, it seems so amateurish, right? But people were like that. If you could set the tools up and get your ad on Facebook and get it in front of your ideal client, they were just moving forward because it was just so cool. It was just, wow, the technology, you were there, you had credibility. Maybe if you had a book, it was like, wow, you're something else. But now you got to remember, your ideal client's been through coaching programs. They've been through webinars and videos. They've watched everything on YouTube. All this kind of stuff, and they just don't trust anybody as much anymore. The tools, the mechanisms for building out what you do online, they don't care, right? They don't care if you've got a published book on Amazon and you're a bestseller. They think everybody has. They don't care if you've got 27 testimonials. Everybody has testimonials. You know what I'm saying? And so we really got to understand that trust is an all-time low. And you've got to be okay with that and meet people where they're at. They don't trust anybody online anymore. And you got to be okay with that. Because if you come at it naive and think that because you're a certified this or you've got this background, they're going to trust you. They're just not. They don't care. They don't believe it, which is the second thing is just people just don't believe it. They're like, For example, and again, I'm not picking on weight loss coaches, but like, how to lose the last 15 pounds without going to the gym, without, changing your diet, anything like that. That might be true, and you might be able to do it in 2 weeks. They just don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? So they're just like, yeah, I've heard that all before. It doesn't work. You see what I mean? And so when they don't believe it and trust is an all-time low, we got a problem, right? And the other thing is your ideal problem with your ideal clients, and most of them don't think they have a big problem, okay? So they think they have a small problem. They think they can, it's not as big as maybe I think it is. And this is human nature. You think about it, like a lot of people don't, even though if they know they have a medical issue, like you have like horrible stomach pains for like a week, right? Like something really bad. People are scared to go to the doctor, right? A lot of people are like, I'm scared. It's nothing. I'm going to be okay. Everything's fine. Because you don't want to confront the reality of the situation. Or, people just don't get medical tests done because like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm okay. And, like so many diseases, like certain cancers can be prevented by just tests, right? And that's a known fact, but we just procrastinate it. So it's not just the coaching space, it's human nature is we don't think we have a big problem. And so what you got to realize is the vast majority of people who you're trying to help don't think the problem they have is really that big, okay? Whether it's weight loss, whether it's finding the love of their life, whether it's getting more clients, whether it's mindset issues around money, whatever it is, they know they have a problem, but they don't think it's as big of a deal to fix it as it really is, okay? So we got to help them with that. But you've always got to remember in our messaging here, these are the things that you need to know about your ideal client when you're creating your ads, you're creating your registration pages, you're creating your content, you're doing your calls. You got to know these things. Because if you can't define what reality is, you will live in a warped world from like a decade ago that does not exist anymore, and you won't get any results, all right? They think they're different. Everybody, and again, I'm not disrespecting anybody. I think the same way. I'm like, oh shoot, I got to go get that medical test. I got to go get that test. I'm like, I'm almost, 47. I better start dealing with some of this. Oh yeah, I'll get to it, right? Like it's human nature, okay? This isn't making anything, anybody out to be bad or your market's horrible. It's just we're dealing with human nature, human psychology, and you need to be okay with that. All right. Now the next thing is that people they think they're different. Oh, it's not that big of a deal for me. It's sort of like the top one, but they don't think it applies to them. All right. Now they're not self-aware enough of the problem at the level you need them to be. So this is a big deal. Okay. We see this a lot with coaches in the mindset niche, in relationships. So for example, people will say how to overcome the limiting beliefs you have around your mindset so that you can have clarity and confidence to fix your problems. Okay, like nobody uses those terms. Like nobody. There's not one person who legitimately has a problem who says, I need to fix my mental money block so I can have more clarity and confidence to fix this problem. Like that's just, no one says that except coaches or marriage issues. Let's say it's a relationship coaching niche, and to give you another one, we'll see. It'd be like how to, overcome your limiting beliefs and childhood issues that are sabotaging your marriage, right? And if you're the wife, like that's the last thing you're thinking about, okay? You're like, that lazy bum plays video games all weekend, doesn't help around the house. He hasn't taken care of himself since we got married, does nothing for me, does nothing for the kids. He's let himself go. He's this, he's that, he's mean, he's rude, he's arrogant, all this kind of stuff. And, so they're not self-aware enough at this point to be like, oh, maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe they're not. Maybe there is a small percentage. But what happens is coaches make a bad assumption that the person they're reaching has a self-awareness of like 10 because you do. Well, you're the coach. You're supposed to have a self-awareness. You're the one who's overcome these problems or teaches it, about it, right? You're the expert. But you got to realize your ideal client is not self-aware, okay? And so what they're thinking is they're projecting it onto something else always, okay? So what does that mean? Well, what that means is let's say the husband-wife thing, right? So she's projecting the bad marriage on all of the things that he's not doing, and she feels like she's done everything. It'd be the exact opposite if it was the men, right? He's like, she's always this, that, never does this, never, the laundry list. If you're reaching guys for marriages or relationship coaching, you can't, it doesn't work, right? You can't just be like, here's how you can fix you so you can fix your marriage. It doesn't work that way. It's one or the other, or you're in a marriage, you got to focus on the one person, but they're not self-aware. So they're projecting the blame. And so you got to realize that, like the weight loss niche, right? It's not that I haven't tried losing 20 pounds. It's I'm 50 years old, so my metabolism's a lot slower. I don't have time to go to the gym. I'm doing everything. I'm eating good. I'm doing this. So it's obviously my hormones. I'm stressed. It's this, I'm that. The gym, the trainer doesn't help much. You see what I'm saying? It's not them. We don't think it's us. So most people are projecting the problem onto somebody else. So you need to realize that, and then what you need to do is you need to realize the language they use is not concepts, okay? It's specific stories, not concepts. Nobody ever says, I want to, achieve I'm feeling unfulfilled, and I want to have a life of fulfillment and purpose and meaning. What does that mean? If you run an ad with that, it's like gonna die. Nobody's gonna work with you, okay? Now, the other thing you gotta realize is this, that people are problem aware, not solution aware. So the majority of markets are problem aware, not solution aware. So what does this mean? Most coaches are selling to solutions versus the problem. So they're like, hey, are you feeling that you're not achieving your goals and dreams and you want more clarity and confidence? Well, I have this NLP process that's going to show you how to let go of those limiting beliefs and achieve this amazing outcome doing this thing. Okay, do you see how conceptual that is? Okay, nobody's looking for NLP training. Okay, nobody's looking for some special weight loss solution. Okay, they're not solution aware. They're problem aware. So what people are doing is when they come on Facebook, what they're doing is they're focusing on their big problem, okay? And they have this absolutely major problem. Their marriage, their husband, their wife. It's not even their marriage. It's their husband. It's their wife. It's I can't lose this weight, or I can't get clients, or whatever it is. It's a problem. And they're heavily focused on this problem, not necessarily, hey, I'm looking for a solution to my money mindset issues. Okay, they're focused on the problem, not on the solution. And what a lot of coaches are doing is they're just heavily marketing the fact that they've got a solution. I've got a solution to you. You're not finding the love of your life, or whatever it is. Okay, so it's very important that you specifically keep yourself problem aware, not solution aware, and you're going to get a lot further away. So you might be thinking, this is very conceptual right now. Yeah, it is. I want to help you understand the concepts, and then we'll get into some more of the how to organize it all. So next thing you want to do is next step is how do we actually target your ideal client who has money? Well, first thing you need to do is you need to realize just because they have money doesn't mean they're going to give it to you, okay? Now, what a lot of people will do is they're like, I just need clients who have money. I just need to target people who make $200,000-$300,000 a year so that my 5-10K coaching program, it is, gonna just be okay. It's like gonna be cheap to them. I mean, 5K for somebody making $300,000 a year is not much, right? That's like 1.5% of their yearly salary. Well, look, that's true. The math is there, but just because they have money doesn't mean they're going to give it to you. Okay, people who make money don't just randomly give it to everybody. Okay, so if they're in no pain, they're not going to give you the money. Okay, so you need to understand that it's both and, not either or. We want to have people, number two, who are at a 10 out of 10 pain level, where they're like, I gotta lose this weight. Like this last 20 pounds, or I gotta figure out how to fix my marriage, or I'm sick of being lonely. I gotta find somebody to, spend the rest of my life with. Whatever that is, they gotta be at a 10 out of 10. Like it's bad. And they have to have money, okay? So it's both and, not either or. There's a lot of coaches would be like, yeah, I'm just gonna target people interested in Rolls Royce and Louis Vuitton and all this stuff, and then what I'm going to do is they're going to want to work with me. No, they're not. It's not. That's not how this works. Okay, so and then you can do discovery calls with them, and they're going to be like, well, that sounds good. I'm not interested, right? So it's both and then, but at the same time, I would rather work with somebody who has access to money, because you got to remember, money is relative to the person's perception of money, okay? So you could have somebody who is, is a net worth of $1 million or more, right? Which isn't much anymore, but it is enough, who keeps $50,000 in their checking account at all times, and you do an enrollment call with them, and they have their checking accounts at like $45,000, and they're like, I just don't have any money. I can't afford this right now. I got to wait for some payments to come in. Can't do it. Okay. Or you talk to somebody who is like, okay, but to them, they're like, how much is your coaching program? You're like, it's 10K. They're like, okay, I think I have 10K between 2 credit cards. I think I got room. So their perception is, I have capacity somewhere on my cards, so I have money to move forward with you and work with you. Where the other person's perception is, shoot, my checking account's under 50K, I don't have money. Does that make sense? And so that's what we got to realize here. All right, so the next thing we want to do is, so they have to, or I'll just, sorry, that's 2 words there. They have to be trying to fix the problem already. So these 3 are the most important things that you need to understand, okay? Obviously, like we talked about the money thing. We talked about the pain. If they're like a 6 or a 7, or like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, the loneliness I'm living with. If I found somebody great, if not, I'm okay, or whatever. Well, I don't really need clients to grow my business. It's not that big of a deal. Well, I'm not going to move forward with you, or whatever. They got to be at a 10 out of 10. So we want to message them to that at that level. The next thing you got to understand is they have to be trying to fix the problem already. Okay? This is interested versus committed. Okay, so you want committed people, not interested people. All right, so there's a huge difference. And the problem that a lot of coaches have is they keep reaching people who are interested but never really do anything. And so they don't get committed people. And so how that looks is, they'll register for your stuff, but they never move forward. They don't buy. And in most cases, they're just interested. Okay? They could even be these people, but they're interested versus committed. So how do we get committed people versus interested people? They have to be trying to fix the problem already. Okay? And so what that means is for weight loss, right? You don't want somebody who just wants to lose 30 pounds. I mean, that's too broad. And not only is it too broad, we don't know. Like, you want somebody who wants to lose 30 pounds, who's tried all the gyms, who's tried personal trainers, who's tried expensive meal plans, maybe weight loss drugs, all that kind of stuff. They're committed. So they've been trying to fix that problem, right? And because of that, they are now in a place where they're like, I need to figure out how to fix this. And so they're more serious about making a major investment. That makes sense? Whereas if you talk to somebody who is both these things, right? But they want to lose that last 30 pounds, and the only thing they did is got one of those like $5 a month gym memberships at the local whatever big box gym, and you're like, well, what have you done to try and fix this? And they're like, well, yeah, I went to that gym over there and I got a membership. It's like $5 a month. Well, they're not committed. So they're not going to give you multiple thousands of dollars, because you cannot turn interested people into committed people in your coaching program or in your sales calls, in your funnel. You can't do it. That's a behavior pattern. So this is one of the reasons why so many coaches blow through enrollment calls. They're like, I only got 1 out of 20 people buying from me, because you're getting too many interested people, not enough committed people. All right, next thing is they need to ideally be messaged to assume they have money without actually saying it. Now, this is a really big deal, okay? In targeting your ideal client who has the money, you have to basically message them that they have the money to make sure they have the money, but you can't really say it. You can't really focus on, hey, are you making, you can, but you could, for example, on your ad, you can't say, only click this ad if you're making $150,000 a year or more. That just will make a lot of people mad. But what you could do is you could say, are you a 6-figure earning professional working 40, 50 hours a week, but you're too busy to be able to lose that last 30 pounds, and you've tried all these other things? Well, this is for you. Do you see what I'm doing there? So that's what we could do there, and that's how that would work, okay? The next thing is we need to focus on, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but again, you got to message them. So how else can you say they have money? Are you a professional? Are you a professional working 50 hours a week? That kind of thing. So they can kind of assume, and you're too busy with your career to find the love of your life. That kind of thing. But you got to remember, all these things have to stack up. Okay? You obviously got to have money. You got to target the pain to make sure you're talking about the pain. And then they have to have already been trying to fix this problem already, right? We already talked about that. And then we've got to message it to assume they have the money. So we got to hook in all these things and kind of layer them into your ad, your registration page, all the way through everything in your funnel. And focus on the pain, not the pleasure. And this is a big deal here as we go into these last two things here. What you need to do is you need to remember that Your ideal client is buying themselves out of something, not into something. And so what you have to do is not focus so much on the pleasure. It's 80-20 pain pleasure. What I mean by that is, so like just remember these things all stack up on each other, not literally, but they all have to be in your registration page, in your ad, in all the different pieces of your funnel. So what this means is what has to happen is like 80-20. And so 80% of your ad, for example, needs to be meeting them where they're at. Are you stuck? You've tried all the dating apps. You don't say dating apps on your ad, or you'll probably get your ad rejected. But for the sake of this conversation, have you tried all the dating apps? You keep attracting crazy guys who are broke, don't have a career, don't treat you right, are way lower of a social status than you. You've found you try to expensive matchmaking services. You've done all these things to make yourself better. You've hired people to help fix your profile. You've even probably hired a coach. And the problem is, on top of it, you're too busy working your extremely busy career, 50 hours a week, and you want somebody at your level, six-figure earning professional who's also busy but can put you first. You see that? So, and then you would say, the good news is I have this XYZ webinar coming up. You need to register for it. So I'm spending like 80-90% of the time in my ad messaging on the problem versus the pleasure, okay? And the pain. Because the problem is, and we'll get into it, most coaches are selling awesomeness. So they're out there selling this. Hey, wouldn't it be great to find the love of your life? That would just be the most amazing thing ever. Well, I got this amazing free training that's going to show you how to find the love of your life. And then what happens is when people register, you're getting all these like interested people who are like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be interested in that. I got an extra half hour to watch some video. You see what I mean there? They're not, it's just not happening. You know what I mean? You'll get them through. They'll book calls and they'll no-show. Or they'll show up and they'll be like, yeah, I don't have the money. And you can just tell from the call. You can just sense there's no seriousness. They don't have any pain. They're just like out shopping on Sunday afternoon at a $10 million show home because they're bored. And you're like, maybe the salesperson are like, hey, the house is half off today. They're like, oh, cool, I'll think about it. It's only $5 million. Yeah, all right, cool, yeah. All right, well, let me go home, crunch some numbers, and if I'm going to come back and buy, I'll come back and let you know. You see what I mean? It's like, maybe you've done that. I've done that, right? In the past, the salesperson's like so excited, and you're like, I'm not buying this thing. Like, this thing's crazy, right? And they think you are, and you got to be polite to them. Well, that's what they're doing to you, okay? But they're just not serious. They're show home buyers or what have you, right? And so you've got to focus on the pain, not the pleasure. You can bring up the pleasure of like, wouldn't it be nice to find somebody who is at your social status level, who can take you on amazing trips, so on, you know, those kind of things, right? But they already know all that, okay? They're focusing on getting out of this problem. All right, next thing. The biggest mistake coaches make when it comes to finding clients online. So you're doing really good. I hope this is helping. Now it's time to focus on the biggest mistakes coaches make. Because look, you need to know what coaches are doing wrong with messaging in order to know how to do this right. I've been doing this for like 19 years. I've spent millions on ads, coached, I don't even know, well over 1,000 coaches over the years. This is what coaches are doing wrong. Number one, they focus on selling their coaching programs. Again, remember, you don't have a strong enough relationship. It's not like it was 10 years ago. And so what you've got to understand is what's happening is they don't care yet about you. They don't care about your program. They're not looking for a program. We've already gone through that. So this is going to be more of a review before we get into what your job is and how to do it. Okay, next thing is they're focused on selling awesomeness and client outcomes. So I wanted to put these mistakes last before we get into what you need to do, so that you can kind of maybe see the context a little better, versus if I put it first, you'd be like, okay, that sounds good. All right. You know, or this way there's some context. You can be like, I get it. I won't do that again because he shared that with me. They focus on selling the client's outcome and awesomeness. Again, remember we talked about that. These ads that are like, hey, won't it be amazing to find the love of your life, or fix your marriage, or lose the weight, or manifest your dreams. And look, what would your life look like if you could make an extra $150,000 a year, right? Because everybody's going to be like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Sure, I'd love to make $150,000 a year, right? It's just not the people you want. And then they focus on selling themselves as a credible option. They're like, hey, I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, and I got Bob Proctor certification. I got certified by the Life Coaching Association. I've got a doctorate from this school. I've got a master's here. I've got 2 bachelor's degrees from this school. I've done this. I've got a picture with 3 U.S. presidents, whatever, right? And I'm a triple #1 best-selling Amazon author, all the while thinking that that's helping. There's places for that. But again, people just need to know you have good credibility. I can tell you this for a fact. In webinars, there's a section where you want to talk about yourself. That section, if it's too long, would be the first section where people just start bailing on your webinar. Because people want to know you are credible. They're like, that person's good. And then what they do is they then, if you do it too much, they're like, I don't have time for this. People care about themselves, not about you, but they need to know you're credible. So again, it's a balancing act that you've got to like walk that tightrope. Okay? And then again, the biggest mistake, we already talked about this, so now you have some context. Just selling anybody within that niche. Hey, would you love to manifest your dreams and all that kind of stuff. And people, some guy working the night shift on the takeout window at McDonald's is like, boy, I'd love that. That'd be amazing. I'm going to watch your webinar while I'm working the night shift at McDonald's because I've got nothing else to do. You know what I mean? You don't want that. Remember, we want to go niche down, niche down. All right. And then they focus on selling the wrong step within the marketing funnel. Okay. So remember what I said up here is that problem aware versus solution aware. So what they're doing is on their ad, they're like, yeah, click the link now to discover how my coaching can help you. Like, they're not even remotely close to that. They're just not even there. That's just not on their radar. You know what I mean? And that's why we see these coaches who take people from an ad to an about me page with all this credibility and then a book a call button. Be like, hey, book a call to see if my coaching is the right for you, right? Not gonna work. And so that's what I'm saying is you got to sell the next step, not your coaching. Okay, that comes well in the webinar type thing, and we have a training on that on the various how to structure your funnel properly so that you get high ticket coaching clients. Because like the biggest mistake, again, a lot of coaches who are watching this are probably getting referrals. You can't run ads like you attracting referral or okay. And so what this means is this is a very common thing. Okay, so you can put a post on Facebook, for example, use Facebook. It could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn, it could be whatever. And you put a post out there that's like, hey, I got 5 more spots. If you're struggling with finding clarity around achieving your dreams and you're kind of having a midlife crisis and you want to make the second half of your life the best half of your life, just private message me. I've got 3 spots left in my confidence, clarity, and lifetime achievement group coaching program, and I would love to have you in it. Okay, well, you're going to remember context, right? So when you do that and you've got relationships with these people, they know you, they've seen your stuff for years. Well, you put a post out like that, you've maybe done other things, so they're like, oh yeah, I know what she's talking about. they're going to reach out to you probably, right? Or what have you. That's just one example, but that's what people do. Or people will be like, yeah, I get all these referrals coming to me who are just looking for lose 30 pounds, 20 pounds, it's out of the other thing. And, you can talk to a referral completely different than you talk to somebody who's cold, right? Because they've already been pre-sold. The trust is already there. They already know somebody who's worked with you. They probably know your pricing structure. They already trust you, and they're solution aware. Okay, meaning Sally told them you help people lose 30 pounds, and here's how it works, and here's what she did for me, and yeah, it totally worked really good, and here she helped me achieve this by doing this, and some blood work, and this thing, and that thing. And so they show up on your phone or your door, and you're like, yeah, Sally was saying she had really good results with your XYZ coaching. You see what I'm doing there? So it's not your fault, okay? Like if you're watching this and you're just like, oh God, this is unbelievable, right? Because it's like I've been doing everything wrong the whole time. That's totally normal, because when you got leads coming at you, it's so easy to just be you and be like, yeah, I got all this credibility, and here's me, and they're like, okay, cool, how much is it? You're like, well, it's like 12K. They're like, all right, let's do it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And then coaches will run these ads, and they get these calls booked in, and these people are like, what kind of scam is this? I'm not interested. I didn't say I want to do that. I got to think about it. Why'd you call me? Right? You start getting that stuff, and you're like, I don't get it. It worked for these people, but it won't work for these people. What's the problem? And this is the problem. It's a totally different mindset shift. So that's why you need to really understand this and really, really go deep on this stuff, and make sure this is in every part of your marketing, your emails, your ads, your webinar, your everything, your call. Okay, so here's your job. I have 7 things for you need to do. You need to figure out who is your who, okay? Who's your who with the money, not just people who want to manifest their dreams, people who want to lose weight, that kind of thing. Go deep, okay? And this is you've got a link to this worksheet here to use. Go as deep as possible, but not too deep, okay? You don't want to target too deep. Like, for example, 7-figure income earners who are 55 plus wanting to lose like 30 or more pounds. Might be a little too deep, okay? If you're like, well, why not just target NFL players or whatever? Going to be a little hard to reach those. So you want to be broad but specific, okay? So you got to thread that needle. Number 3, what pain are they dealing with all day and night? What is that pain that you can help them fix? And what does having money look like without saying it? Like, how can you message that in to what you're doing without saying that? Okay. Now, what are they already trying to do that they're failing at? Remember, the more they're trying and failing, the more committed they are to working with you. All right. Next thing is, what is the next step in your funnel versus the ultimate step? We don't take people from an ad to a coaching program. It just does not work. Okay. Now, why you? Like, again, what makes you the only option? Why are you in this niche? Like, what makes you the only option? Like, why would I work with you versus the other 20 different people in your market? And that's what you've got to convince them of all through your marketing. So, we went over a lot in these roughly 45 minutes. There's a lot here, but hopefully you can start to see how this can help you achieve finding people who have money. Okay? Now, if you feel like this is something you can do, perfect. Go do it, and we wish you the best of luck. And make sure you go through all the other modules that I have for you here, because they're all here. They're all free. But if you're like, you know what? I would be interested in talking to you about how your coaching works. A big part of our coaching is working with the messaging, because it is absolutely everything, okay? And what we do in our coaching program is we have like a whole bunch of other training, and we work with you on refining it, on back and forth, because doing this on your own is hard. When you've never successfully done it before, it can be hard to do something this complicated. It's like, how can I climb Mount Everest? All right, well, you're gonna go here, and what about there? Or you work with, one of those locals, as they're up, down, up, down, up, down. They can take you there. They can save you a ton of time, ton of money, and get you to where you want to go a lot faster. And that's us, okay? That's me and our team. And so what I would like you to do is, under this video is a link to book a call with us, all right? And what we're going to do is we're just going to dig into your coaching, dig into what you're doing, see if our coaching program is a good fit for you to help you start achieve your goals, getting out of doing this alone, and figure all this stuff without having to figure all this out on your own, okay? So you're going to click the link below, and you're just going to answer a few questions so we can get to know about you, know about your situation, and then you're going to be redirected to a page just to book a time on our calendar, and one of our team members will have a call with you and dig in and see if we're the right fit, explain how our coaching works, talk to you about some options, okay? Because we've got a lot of free stuff for you, but it's limited. There's only so much we can do with our free stuff, because going at it alone is really hard. And you might be like, well, what about the investment and all that? It's a heck of a lot less than figuring out all yourself. I'm sure you'd agree, okay? So we have lots of case studies. We have lots of testimonials. When you book a call, you'll be taken to a page full of testimonials and case studies of people who've worked with us in various niches. All right, so what I want you to do is click the link below this, hit that call booking link, and book a call. All right, hope this was helpful, and now you can finally understand how to find clients who have money.